Just answering questions with LabTech. Here we go. LabTech comment set. Ambiguous mode. Posted under my video. This idiot who is spreading crap needs to be taken down, debunked, or flat out embarrassed. I have watched 3 of his videos and I cannot believe all of the comments that are praising him. It's really unbelievable whom this most likely mentally challenged is spreading this crap. Who this is? Okay. Are you talking about me or the video you linked to that goes to a guy who is unhinged? So thanks for the request. Dear WabTech, this other idiot, remember I'm one of many idiots, remember. Okay, thanks, I'll go ahead and look into that. This is the 3rd or 4th time I've been asked to look up this guy's channel. I can't even, so I'll take a look. What should I select for the frame rate when I upload? And bit rate? Shill, you can tell me, can you tell me what 24 cinema and 25 PAL means? 25 PAL is phase alternation line. It's mostly European Union, it's mostly certain countries. 25 frames per second. Frame is the full frame. In the United States, it's 30 frames. They're based on the 50 cycle a second in that country or wherever it came from versus the 60 cycle a second in the United States. They have their advantages and disadvantages, higher or lower line rates. You have to look it up. As for 24 cinema, movies are done in 24 frames per second because they are. It's a number that was, you can look up the history of filming. And you can choose any frame rate you like. These videos, most of my videos are done at 20 frames a second. Because it works. YouTube will reconvert it and mess it up anyway. You can try doing exactly what YouTube wants. So what you want to do on the frame rate is it's dependent on what shape it is. Please turn the camera so that it doesn't do the... These are not the selfies you're looking for, but you look up what they recommend as far as frame rate and compressor and aspect ratio. They want 19:9 or 4:1. 4:1 is classic Disney box mode or whatever. Just choose whatever it is and just upload it. Whatever works. The main thing I have a problem with that I keep having to fix is the audio and video don't sync. As long as they sync, I don't care what the format is, and YouTube will convert most of it. They give you the recommendations of the page, so I'll include a bunch of links below for that. But thanks for that question. That's actually a very good question. I'll try to do a video on what I use. I use potato mode for another reason. Because it's such crap, YouTube actually upsamples it and jacks it up to the right frame rate. It comes out being reasonably good. High frame rate with low resolution. You don't need to see the details of my face. Trust me, it's an ugly face. Don't compliment me or anything. Anyway, here we go. I'm not fishing for compliments. I'm throwing out a net. Anyway, here we go. The fact is, it is a strobe on the Mandalay Bay. It doesn't sit well with me in the first place. Okay. If I paid an ass ton of money to have a view of the strip and some clown next door to me had a strobe flashing every time I looked out my window, I'd be ticked off. It's hard for me to digest, oh, it's just a strobe because it's out of place. It's an anomaly, and the Vegas shooting is full of such outliers. It's Vegas. They're all outliers. People sometimes use strobes of various rates to trigger their mind into doing things to create psychedelic-like effects. This is an extremely popular thing. It's called strobing. And it was a bike light. It's a triangular bike light that is used for signaling. Like a triangle on the road when you don't want to be hit by a car. Like when you're fixing your tire. But it was actually for a bike, most likely. In toto, we are forced to consider alternative theories. Actually, you don't have to, but I recommend it. It's good exercise, but don't let it overwhelm you. And next, it's Vegas. It's full of outliers. That's just the way. That is Vegas. That is what Vegas is about. It's not a kid-friendly Disney environment, no matter how much they'd like it to be to get more money. By the way, two individuals living in a basement filled with cats in Canada is not a credible resource. Okay, I'm not sure what that refers to, but I'm sure I'll find out in the comments section. Okay, here we go next. I'm puzzled about Paddock's escape plan. I don't think he had one. I really don't. I think he might have wanted to leave to go do more damage somewhere. I don't think he was trying to get away with anything. Because mechanically, I don't think he would have been able to. And I'm pretty sure he's not that dumb to think he could have gotten away with it. I don't think he was ever planning on leaving. But anyway, when he blocked off his most logical route to escape, there are a couple of other things about the shooting that were strange but explainable outside of Occam's razor. However, I can come nowhere close to logical rationalization that would cover both assertions. The problem with this is that you're assuming you're trying to survive. The most effective method for being a murderer is to not want to survive. Look at any bombing occurrence where people strapped explosives to themselves. Are you saying this data, such and such data, is the best you could find? Seriously, try taking your child lock safety filter off and Google, and you'll get unedited pictures of Paddock. I don't have child lock on. Thanks for the insult, and you're insulting a person who's notorious for just looking for everything. There's a limited number of pictures of Paddock. The rest of the links you might have ignored were the other images. None of them contradict what I was doing. I was just looking for the clearest images of his eyes. It was about his eyes. Those are the ones that are accepted by conspiracy theorists as being his eye colors. But when you zoom in on them, they're not consistent. You're not acknowledging that part of the video. This is a different person, obviously. You're truly a moron. AR-15s with a bump stock cannot fire in concession but an M240 does, and that was the sound of the gunfire. I have a video on one of my channels comparing the sound. It sounds nothing like an M240. It sounds nothing like a fully automatic weapon of any kind. It sounds exactly like what it was, a bump stock being fired. The cadence varies. It is not a machine gun. If a machine gun acted that way, no military would buy it. It is not an M40. You are simply wrong. Go to hell. And I don't want to hear any more gunfire. I have a history of being fired upon I don't want to talk about anymore. Bitch. Next. Yes, it was I knew what it sounded like. I couldn't put my finger on it at the time, and I figured out really quickly it was a bump stock. I thought it was a hurdy-gurdy or a hand crank, but no, it was a bump stock. And yes, there's a video I posted where I compared the sounds of bump stock bipods. I'm putting it together, you're going to have it. Yes, that would work as well. Shut up. Next, there was more than one shooter. Now possible a helicopter have been used to shooting. A lot of things going on that night. There's also thinking the security guard might have been in on the shooting. The head's off to Mexico and is wounded. I know if I was wounded, I'd be going to a hospital. He did go to the hospital. He had a trip planned to Mexico in the first place. He asked permission to do it and made sure that he would be cleared so that he could come back over the border, because he's going to Mexico and he's Mexican looking. He's coming across the border back. Oh, yeah, here's Jesus. He wants to come back. He's got a bullet wound in his foot. Yeah, he's going to check to see if it's okay. None of this was hanky. Your argument's invalid. The next, your assertion of multiple shooters and helicopters and Jesus being involved, you're desperately trying to make it other than Paddock shot a bunch of people. Do you acknowledge Paddock shot anybody or not? Because none of the evidence points to anything else at all. I mean, nothing. Not a damn thing. How did the windows get broke? Paddock didn't break them. Well, if you have a universe where Paddock didn't break them, I guess we have to assume something else. Paddock did break them somehow. We just don't know really how. I'm assuming it could have been the hammer, but it could have been anything. Unless somebody can get a hold of an actual physical copy of the window. Just grab the window, get one, and test it. Actually, several of them would be needed. We won't know what would do. First thing I would do is I would get an exact copy of the guiding windows, several of them, and immediately shoot them with the proper weaponry to see what would happen to each, to get rid of that idea, and then hit them with a hammer dead last. I want to see this. A full 100%. Not to scale, 100% scale test. Let's do it. Anybody want to do that? Get Trump to donate some of the windows from the Trump Tower to test. That'll be close enough, right? Next. I am really curious about the disaster that befell all mankind during the Maunder minimum. You know, the longest ever recorded solar minimum that also coincided with the largest increase in human development, the Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, and the Dalton minimum, actually most of the Mount Tambora eruption, late 18th, early 19th century, all pretty good times except for Waterloo and shit. Maybe Napoleon was moody because he was a nit-me out. So now that my entire end series on Maunder minimum, the Industrial Revolution might have had something to do. Anyway, let's just go on. And by the way, does anybody notice that the real temperature measurements and stuff that's the weather data was only from a certain hemisphere and a certain continent or two? Not really global measurements. But anyway, let's go on. Dude, you make no sense at all. You rant on, question, and make no point whatsoever. What is your point? Aha. The videos that I've been doing where I'm able to pause it while I do these recordings, I hate watching them. So I'm gone back to using the webcam utility because it gives me a timer at the bottom so I can make sure I'm not going over time. And also, I get better doing takes doing this. If I do the pause function, I don't do good takes. So that's a legitimate complaint. And here we go. Next. I'm not going to rant on and on because I'm not going to pay attention to your comment. Meta joke. Here we go. Get your ideas together before you ramble like a drunk. It's the grand solar minimum. We're cooling down at an exaggerated rate. Yes, you're exaggerating it. You mean accelerating or escalating or whatever. Warming isn't happening, but the ice caps are resetting at a deeper ice pack. It has snowed deeper in the southern states, hailed in the bread belt states, destroying crops, destroyed grapes for wine and vegetables in Europe, and deeper, longer areas of cold has dropped further into Europe than ever before. It's getting colder for longer periods of time. Volcanoes are awakening to erupt, covering the earth with soot and ash, blocking the sun. If it's on the ground, it absorbs heat and increases the temperature. Our growing seasons up in the northern states is shorter and cooler. Our food supply is in jeopardy, so you and others need to start a garden and prepare yourself. Gardens are inefficient ways of growing food. We're already doing the most efficient ways. The population's increasing. That's what's causing the shortages, right? No, be fruitful and multiply until you drop dead from starvation. Next. And prepare yourself for a big freeze. And Jesus is coming. It's actually Jesus and he got a bullet wound. During that time of the freeze, you can read a lot in lower light with less to eat. Thank you for your assertions that aren't based on anything except a very myopic view of history, reality, and your own navel. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that mess. Bye.